بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the ta'liqat ala nawaqid al-Islam, the explanatory notes about the nullifiers of al-Islam. And we have reached the 8th, and the Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that there are 10, and we have reached the 8th. The Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala, he says الثامن, the 8th, مظاهرة المشركين ومعاونتهم على المسلمين، والدليل قوله تعالى ومن يتولاهم منكم فإنه منهم إن الله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. And this can be found in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and it's verse 51. The Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that eighthly is to give victory to the polytheists, to help the polytheists gain victory over the Muslims, or that they are aided against the Muslims. Now, that they are aided against the Muslims, whether they gain victory or not, then this will be from those things which will nullify an individual's Islam. And the proof of that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement that can be found in Surah Al-Ma'idah in his verse number 51, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says what means, and if there are those from amongst you who has taken them as awliya, then surely he is one of them. Meaning that if there are those from amongst you who have taken them as friends, helpers, or protectors, and so on and so forth, and has made this allegiance with them and cooperated with them to this extent, then he is from them. Then he is from them. And verily Allah, he guides not a people who are criminals. And verily Allah, he guides not a people who are transgressant criminals. Now, the Shaykh Ahmed al-Najmi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, and this is very important that we understand the difference in this issue, because people are confused, and the Imam or the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he's going to explain very clearly the difference. He says, من أعان المشركين والكافرين واليهود والنصارى على المسلمين, that whoever he aids and he helps the polytheists and the disbelievers and the Jews and the Christians upon the Muslims, he helps them against the Muslims. Now, he says فهذا يعد كافرا وعمله كفر, that this one he is considered to be a disbeliever, and his action in which he has committed is an action of disbelief. نعم لأن مظاهرة المشركين على المسلمين, because helping the polytheists gain victory over the Muslims, helping the kuffar gain victory over the Muslims, دليل على توليهم دون المسلمين, is a sign that this individual has taken them as friends, helpers, and protectors instead of the Muslims. Is a sign that this individual has taken them as friends, helpers, and protectors other than the Muslims. وتولى دليل على محبة ملتهم الكفرين, and him helping them also, or his taking them as friends, helpers, and protectors, this is also a sign that he has love for them. and he has love for for their millah. نعم. ومحبة ملتهم الكفرية. نعم. هذا هو. That he has love for their disbelieving way. That he has love for their disbelieving way. طيب. And he has love for their lifestyle. Because what else would encourage an individual, or would bring an individual to help them to gain victory over the Muslims, except, as the Shaykh says, فَهَذَا دَلِيلٌ عَلَى مُحَبَّةِ أو مُحَبَّةِ نعم مِلَّتِهِ. That this is a sign that he loves their way, he prefers their way, their disbelieving way. وَإِثَارِهَا عَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ. And he has chosen it and he has preferred it to al-Islam. He has chosen it and he prefers it to the deen of al-Islam. نعم. ولا شك أن هذا الكفر موجب للخروج من الملة والعياذ بالله. He says, and this is no doubt, when one looks at it from the standpoint and he understands this reality, then there is no doubt about it, that this is disbelief, the type that will affirm an individual's exiting the deen of al-Islam. This is what is meant by al-khuruj min al-millah, leaving out from the religion, meaning leaving out from the deen of al-Islam, and Allah's aid is sought from that. وَلَيْسَ الْمُرَادِ. And this is very important, I want us to understand this now. The Shaykh, he says, and it is not intended, the Tuwal al-Mushrikeen, it is not intended by helping and supporting the mushrikeen, the polytheists, wal kuffar. It is not intended by supporting the polytheists and the kuffar to mean التعاون معهم على شيء محرم مما حرمه الإسلام ومنعه. It said it's not to be understood that this means that you help them and you cooperate with them upon those things which Islam has made haram and those things which Islam has prevented. Now, and he's going to explain what this means if this particular sentence is not clear to this point. He says, وَقَدْ كَتَبْتُ فِي هَذَا الْمَوْضُوعِ فَتْوَى فِيهَا شَيْء مِنَ التَّفْصِيلِ. He said, and I have written a very extensive Islamic ruling which brings the details with regards to this issue. He says, وَذَلِكَ أَنَّ بَعْضُ النَّاسِ. He said, and this is because some of the people جعل تعاون مع أقوام من الكفار على منع الإرهاب الذي حرمه الله والرسول وجعلوا ذلك كفرا وارتدادا. He said, and this is because some of the people, they believe that cooperating with the kuffar in the affair of prohibiting and preventing terrorism, that terrorism which Allah and His Messenger have made prohibited, they think that this is kufr and that this is apostasy. So now we go back, that helping the polytheists and the kuffar into stopping something that Allah has made haram, something that Allah has made haram, not something that is muharram. They think that this enters into helping and aiding and assisting them, and it doesn't. This doesn't. Now, so for example, the Shaykh brings an example. So to help them in the stopping of terrorism, for example, this will not enter into that which is mean by helping them gain victory and aiding and assisting them against the Muslims. Why? Because the act of terrorism itself is something that is haram in Islam. It's haram in Islam. It's something that the Muslims, we are obliged to what? To fight against it, to stop it, and to prevent it. Now, so if there are some kuffar and they have gathered to fight against terrorism, now they have gathered to try to prevent terrorism and so on and so forth, by the Muslims aiding them in that, this does not constitute helping them gain victory over the Muslims. Because the reality of it is, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, especially here in the West, is that those who are harmed the most by the terrorists, they're the Muslims. The Muslims are harmed the most by the terrorists. Now, all a person has to do is go through the archives of news events of terroristic activities, and he will find that the majority of these activities take place where? In the lands of the Muslims. The bombings, the massacres inside of the Masjid on Jumu'ah, and so on and so forth. This happens to the Muslims. This happens to the Muslims. Now, can you recall a news article that said that the Khawarij ran up inside of a church and killed all the people? Huh? Can you recall a story that reads like this? Or that they ran up inside of a synagogue and killed the people? Nah? But we have multiple cases where people are going to the Masjid Yawm al-Jum'ah and blow themselves up. Wa'iyadhu billah. That they will go inside of the Masjid Yawm al-Jum'ah with machine guns and just start shooting people at random. And so on, and this is just an example, but so on and so forth. You find the Muslims, we are the ones who suffer from the Khawarij. Because the fight of the Khawarij, haqiqatan, is against Ahlul Islam. In reality, it is against the Muslims. It is against the Muslims. By them turning some attention to the kuffar, it is just a strategy that they're using so as to discourage the kuffar from helping and giving aid, quote unquote, to the Muslim regimes. Now, this is their strategy. So if they cause enough problem, then they'll stop and they'll withdraw the aid that they're giving to this country and that country and this country and that country and so on and so forth, which will give us free reign at them. Now, so the reality is that what their fight is against Islam. This is the reality. Before the West knew anything about the war on terror, now, the Muslims, we have been fighting against them since when? Since the time of the Sahaba. Since the time of the Sahaba, because you find the Khawarij, they were the first deviant group. They were the first deviant group. From those 72 sects that are heading towards the fire, the Khawarij was the first one. Was the first one to appear. And they appeared when they encircled the house of Uthman, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, which eventually led to him being assassinated. They assassinated Uthman. Now, these individuals, this was the first act of the Khawarij. These ones later came out clearly, they made khuruj upon Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Ala kulli hal, the Muslims are the ones who suffer from the hands of who? The Khawarij. The Muslims, we're the ones who suffer from the hands of the terrorists. So, it is incumbent upon us to what? To fight against terrorism in all its shapes, ways, and forms. It is for us to be hard working and fighting against terrorism in every which way that we can fight against terrorism. When it comes to, with respect to the Muslim governments, then they have the authority to fight against the terrorists militarily. When it comes to the Muslim governments, they have the authority to fight against the terrorists militarily, to send out military units, to send out special units, strike forces and the like, to fight them militarily, and to catch them and to imprison them, and to sentence them to death or for long stints in prison, whatever the Islamic court sees appropriate for the individuals. Naam. This is for the Muslim governments. And likewise, naam, that they commission the ulama to teach and to spread the teachings of the true Islam, which is against terrorism. Okay? As far as the Muslim citizen, then it is his duty to convey and to spread what the ulama have offered against the terrorists, to make it well known what the ulama have said against the terrorists and the Islamic ruling on terrorism. That terrorism has nothing to do with Islam. Islam is free from terrorism. Islam is free from the terrorists. Islam does not support terrorism out in the open nor behind closed doors. We don't support terrorism, period. Period. There's no toleration for any type of form and shape of terrorism whatsoever. This is the Muslim stance. You understand? So if there are some kuffar and they're also working along this way, and they can be utilized as a vessel to help spread the true Islamic meaning with regards to how we are free from terrorism, that terrorism has nothing to do with Islam, then cooperating with them in this respect, in this regard, is not considered helping them against the Muslims. No. This is not considered helping them against the Muslims. But yeah, this is important to know, because you have some terrorists, straight up, then you have what I call closet terrorists. You understand? They try to make it seem like they're not really terrorists, but they're terrorists. They try to make it seem like they're not Khawarij, but they're Khawarij. These closeted Khawarij come to you lying to you. Naam. And you find that a lot of these ones is from the Qa'adiyya. They're from the Qa'adiyya sect of the Khawarij. The Qa'adiyya, they are the ones who they just sit on their hands and they just talk a lot. They encourage people. They don't actually get up and partake in the fighting, but they encourage people to go fight. They try to turn people against the Muslim rulers. They try to they try to encourage people and teach them to make takfir against the Muslims. Right? This is the Qa'idiyya. They are the worst of the Khawarij. They are worse than the ones who actually go out and carry out the military acts. Why? Because you won't have no one going out doing the military acts if it wasn't for the Qa'idiyya. The Qa'idiyya, they are the source. Okay, so these fiery clerics, as they call them, these Khawarij, these evil individuals, these devils from the Khawarij, who just get out and they encourage the people, they encourage the youth to go and take up arms against the Muslim governments. They spread the ideology of takfir, making takfir upon the Muslims and rendering the Muslims as being kuffar, disbelievers, and so on and so forth. They are the worst of the Khawarij. The worst of the Khawarij. Even though they never pick up a gun, even though they never pick up a bomb, even though they never strap anything to themselves and go do anything, they are the worst of the Khawarij. Why? Because as the early man they explained that the lisan sabaqa sayf. The lisan sabaqa sayf. The tongue precedes the sword. You don't find people just take out the sword and start chopping. You don't find that. You find it starts with talk first. Get the people riled up. Try to tap on their emotions and so on and so forth. Then that leads to action. So you find they are the worst of the Khawarij, the worst of them. What I'm saying is that you have some who they are closet Khawarij. They try to be slick with their khuruj. And they'll say statements like, if you do something anti-terrorism, right? They'll label that as these people are being cowards. These people are weak. These people are just trying to appease the kuffar. They come with all these slogans. We heard this stuff before. Now, right here in Florida, we heard this stuff from these Khawarij of Florida. Now, we heard it before. It reached us, their statements. This is weak. They're appeasing the kuffar. The cowards. This is from cowardice and so on and so forth. Now, we've heard this. And that's why you got to be careful, because they come at you with the smile in the face and the high thobe and the beard and the hutra and try to make it seem like they Salafy and that. But they're not. They're not upon Ahlus. They're not from Ahlus Sunnah. They're from the Khawarij. And how you know? You say, who is Shaykh? Who you take ilm from? Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini al-Khariji. Naam. So you got to be careful of these people. Naam. And in particular, you have to be careful. You have to be careful of the wolf in sheep's clothing whose name is Abu Ubaidah. Naam, ta'rifu, you know him. Abu Ubaidah, the dentist. You know him now, right? You have to be careful of this individual. This individual is an evil person. He's from the Khawarij. This person is an evil person. He's from the Khawarij. Supporter and follower of Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini al-Khariji. Naam, the ulama refutations upon him are well known. Refutations upon him well known. The tabdi' upon him is well known. As Shaykh Muqbil rahimahullah ta'ala made tabdi' upon him. He said this man is mubtadi'. He's from bid'ah. He's from the people of bid'ah. So beware of this individual. But he calls people to the likes of these things. He calls people to the like of these things. Now, even in the time of Husni Mubarak, even when I was there, way back when the man was on, he was on district arrest, for lack of a better term. He wasn't allowed to leave his district. Why? Because he's always running his mouth, spewing the ideology of the Khawarij. Even at that time. Now, ala kulli hal, watch out for this person, because he comes and he want to talk about seerah, he want to talk about tazkiyah, he want to talk about fiqh, and all of these things that he feels is, this is public face. Okay, this is public face. But you know what? Every mubtadi', every hizbi is a liar, but not every liar is a hizbi. You understand that? Every hizbi is a liar, but not every liar is a hizbi. He show you one face in public, and he show you another face back around the way. So you have to be careful of these individuals. And he's just one of them. Because anyone who is a member of Jam'iyyah Ihya Turaf, that follows Abdurrahman al Bukhaari, and Ha'ula, as we have them here in Florida, Masjid al-Sunnah in Kissimmee, Masjid Ihsan in Orlando, and those who follow them, as they have their cronies have breached down into Boca, have breached down into Pompano, right around the corner with the people over there from those Khawarij, from the Moroccans who left from here or was expelled from here. Alhamdulillah, alhamd. They're all over, man. They're all over. So you got to be careful. You have to be careful because they will come to you with a cloak like it's sunnah, but it's not sunnah. It's not sunnah. You understand? And don't be fooled because they agree with us in some matters. Don't be fooled. The origin of the affairs, the ulama, they explain from them, Sheikh Muhammad bin Hadi, Sheikh Abdullah Bukhaari, and others from the ulama, they explain that the Khawarij, the origin of the Khawarij, they differed with Ahlul Sunnah in one issue. That was the origin. They differed with Ahlul Sunnah in one issue. And look what it led to. So don't come and be tricked by saying, oh, but they agree with us when it comes to the ulu of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't be tricked. They believe they agree with us in that. Okay, so what? As long as he's from the Khawarij, that's it. We don't care if he agree with us in other issues. You understand? Don't be duped. Man say, oh, but he agrees, so he's not that bad, right? No, he's bad. Why? Why we know the Khawarij is bad? Even though they only differ in one thing, the origin. They differ in one issue, right? Even with that, what did the Prophet ﷺ call them? He called them what? Kilabun nar, the dogs of the hellfire. They differ with us in how many issues? How many issues, ikhwa? One. But the Prophet ﷺ, he called them what? Kilabun nar. So don't be fooled and say, oh, but they agree with us in some stuff. So what? So what? That don't mean nothing. If they're not from the people of the Sunnah, don't mean anything. The Prophet ﷺ, he still called them what? Kilabun nar. Kilabun nar. You understand? So beware. Because, and the Shaykh, he mentions this, why? Because this was what people used to say. This is what people still say. So he brings up real examples right here. So he says, so this is not, this does not enter into the meaning of giving victory to the polytheists or helping them against the Muslims. As some of the people, like we said, these Khawarij, you find them saying that this is kufr. When they see the likes of it, they say, oh no, this is kufr and this is apostasy. The Shaykh, he says, الحق الذي يجب المصير إليه أنه إذا عرضت علينا فئة من فئات الكفر أن نتعاون معهم وتعاون معنا على محاربة شيء مما يمنعه الإسلام ويأمر بمحاربته ومنعه فإن لنا أن نفعل ذلك. The Shaykh, he says, the reality is that if we are presented with the opportunity, or if we are presented by a group from the group of the kuffar, or from a group of the kafir groups, right, and to cooperate with them and to help them or to assist them in fighting against something which Islam has prohibited, or the commanding of the warring against it and preventing it, the Shaykh, he says, then verily it is for us to do it. It is for us to do it. Now we do it. But the Shaykh, he brings another example. He says, فَلَوْ عُرِضَ عَلَيْنَا مَنْعِ الزِّنَا مَثَلًا. He says, so if it is, we are presented with striving against fornication, for example, أو محاربة الإرهاب مثلا, or fighting against terrorism, for example, as was mentioned, الذي هو تفجيرات التي يقوم بها بعض الناس من المسلمين. He said, meaning these bombings that have taken place, that some of the Muslims have carried out. Now, these bombings that have taken place, whether that bombing is a bombing because he left a IUD there and then it exploded, or a bombing because he left a bomb in a place and it exploded, or bombing because they put a bomb upon themselves, suicide bombing, doesn't matter. Whether it's suicide bombing because left a bomb in a car, left a bomb in a plastic bag, duffel bag, whatever, doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. We don't support any one of these things, period. The Shaykh, he says, وَيَزْعُمُونَ أَنَّ ذَلِكَ الْعِبَادَةِ, and these individuals, they think that this is ibadah. These Khawarij, they think that by them leaving this IUD or this bomb in a plastic bag inside of a whatever, that this is from ibadah, or putting a bomb upon themselves and blowing themselves up, this is from ibadah. This is not from ibadah, وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. What aql, what intellect will say this is from ibadah? What intellect will say this from ibadah? This shows you why, and it shows you, and it gives you more illustration unto the description the Prophet ﷺ gave these individuals. They are the dogs of the hellfire. Only a dog of the hellfire will think it's from worship to leave a bomb inside of a grocery store and to blow up people while they're shopping for food. Mothers, children, old people, women. Ya Salaam. Because of what? You understand? Nothing justifies that. Nothing. You want to blow up a bus with a bunch of senior citizens and women and children on their way to school, and for what? Nothing justifies it. Only a dog of the hellfire would think that that's worship. That's not worship in Islam. This is why we have to be adamant in letting people know this ain't from Islam. Anybody who thinks it's from Islam is wrong. It's not from Islam. Islam has nothing to do with that. This is from the ways of the dogs of the hellfire. This is from the ways of the Khawarij. It has nothing to do with Islam. Period. Taking a plane, running into a building. It's not from the ways of Al-Islam. That's from the ways of the kamikaze. You understand? So let's be real. Give the props where it belongs. It don't belong to Islam. Not saying that this is props like praiseworthy. Nah. But we put the blame where it lies. They got it from the kamikaze. It's not Islamic. Because it's not from Islam to do the likes of these things. Ever. It's not from Islam. Period. Period. Things are evil. Only a dog in the hellfire would think that this is something that has merit to it. Ala kullin, the Shaykh, he says, if we are presented with the likes of these opportunities, the Shaykh, he says, يعني قُلْنَا نَتَعَاوَنُ مَعَهُمْ عَلَى ذَلِكَ. He said, then we work with them upon that. You fighting against terrorism? Yeah, we're going to work upon that. Why? Because we have more right to the fight against terrorism. You fighting against zina? Hey, we're going to work upon that. Why? Because we have more right to fight against zina. We have more right to fight against zina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He describes in the Qur'an as a nation that calls the good and forbids evil. You understand? So we have more right to call the good and forbidding the evil. You understand? And that's how we have to look at it. But yeah. The Shaykh, he says, however, lakin, and this is why you have to love the ulama and the sunnah. They bring you balance. You understand? It's not just something way off here, way off over there. Nah, it's right in the middle. Because that's the way of the sunnah. It's right in the middle. The Shaykh, he says, lakin إِذَا عَرَضَتْ عَلَيْنَا فِئَةٌ مِنْ فِئَاتِ الْكُفَّارِ. He said, but if there comes to us a group from the groups of the kuffar, and they want to أن نحارب الحجاب الذي أمر الله به, and they want to fight against the hijab, أو اللحى أو اللحية, or they want to fight against the beard, التي أمر الله بإعفائها, that which Allah has commanded it to be grown. Okay? And Allah has commanded the beard to be what? To be grown. أو أي شيء من مظاهر الإسلام, or anything from those things, from those apparent aspects of Islam or from Islam. أو طلبت منا هذه الفئة أن نتعاون معهم على المسلمين, or this group, they ask us and they request from us that we help them in general against the Muslims. That in general we help them against the Muslims. Naam. The Shaykh says, فَهَذَا لَا شَكْ فِيهِ أَنَّهُ لَا يَجُوزُ لَنَا. He said, then this, without any shadow of a doubt, is not permissible for us to do. We are not allowed to help and aid them in preventing the hijab and all this type of stuff. We're not allowed to do that. You understand? We're not allowed to do that. So if there comes up an issue of Muslim girls going to school and they have on hijab, it is not for anybody to go there and to tell those Muslim girls, take off the hijab because you're inside the school. You have to respect their rules. No. We don't respect nothing like that. Because our respect is for the truth. That's why we tell them in all due respect. In all due respect for the truth, we're not going to go with that. Allah Ta'ala has commanded the Muslim woman to cover, so that's all we're going to go with. That's our statement. They have to cover. So we're going to what? We're going to stand on the side of that young Muslim girl against you. Because now you're infringing upon her. Right? Likewise, if it's a job and they telling the Muslim man you need to shave your beard and so on and so forth, then it's not for anyone to come and support those people against that. But you find some yoki dokes like this, right? The brother's growing his beard, then they bring yoki doke from around the corner, and they saying, but look, he's saying he what you is, right? And the brother telling you, come on man, just shave it, shave it off. You understand? We go to Jumaanee together to shave it off. And then he ate the kafir against you. You understand? Or you're trying to get off for Jummah and so on and so forth, and they say, well, what about such and such? He working here for years. He said you don't gotta go to Jummah. He said you don't gotta go. These are real life things. The ulama, they mention these things. Why? Because these things happen. As you see it when we get to the conclusion of the book, these things happen often. This is why the ulama, they stress the likes of these things, these nullifiers of Islam, because people, is rampant. The amount that is going on is rampant. It's rampant. So we have to be careful when it comes to these things. We don't help nobody. We don't help nobody against the Sharia. We don't help nobody against the rules of Islam. This is not permissible. Period. Not permissible. Period. The Shaykh, he says, بل من فعله, but whoever does this, whoever will help them against the rules and regulations of Islam, or to help them in a campaign that's anti-Islamic, and so on and so forth. The Shaykh, he says, من فعله وتعاون معهم فيه وظاهرهم عليه فإنه يعد متوليا لأهل الكفر. He said, whoever was to help them and cooperate with them against these rulings or against that Muslim, and they will help him, or they will help the kuffar to gain victory over him, فَإِنَّهُ, then verily this individual, يَعُدُّ, he will be considered one who has helped, he has aided, and he has assisted the kuffar, وَمُتَظَاهِرًا, and he has one who has tried to help them gain victory, right? To gain victory على أهل الإسلام, that he is one who has helped them into trying to gain victory upon the people of Islam. The Shaykh, he says, وَهَذَا النُّوع مِنْ أَنْوَاعِ الرِّدَّةِ, he said, in this category is a category from the categories of apostasy. Right here. The Shaykh, he goes on, the Imam, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions, he says, التاسع, and ninthly, من اعتقد أن بعض الناس يسعه الخروج عن شريعة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كما وسع الخضر الخروج عن شريعة موسى عليهم الصلاة والسلام فهو كافر. He says, and ninthly, whoever believes that some people, they are excused and they are outside of the Sharia. They are outside of the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, just as Al-Khidr, he was outside of the Sharia of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Okay? And they bring this as an example, where it's okay for him not to abide by the Islamic rulings, just like Khidr didn't have to abide by the Sharia of Musa. That's what they try to bring. Whoever believes such, okay, the Shaykh, he says, فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ, then he's a disbeliever. The Shaykh Ahmad al-Najmi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, إِنَّ شَرِيعَةَ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم شَرِيعَةً عَامَّةً لِجَمِيعِ أَهْلِ الْأَرْضِ. He says, verily the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then this is a Sharia that is general for all of the people of the earth. All of the people of the earth. نعم. أهل الأرض. ومن هم من أهل الأرض؟ أهل الأرض من الإنس والجن. من الإنس والجن. The people of the earth from the human beings and the jinn. إنسهم وجنهم. The humans and the jinn. Okay? So there's not a human anywhere on the face of the planet right now. Or more correctly, since the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there's not a human being or jinn on the face of the planet except that it is obligatory upon them to enter into the legislation of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You understand? Everybody on the earth now, it is binding upon them to enter into the legislation of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because this is the divine legislation for all of mankind, human beings and jinn, from the sinning of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam all the way into the Day of Judgment. There's no other alternative. Even Jesus or Isa alayhi salam, when he comes back, he'll be living by the Sharia of who? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You understand? He's not coming back with the Sharia that he had when he was here the first time. We ain't going to say when he was alive, right? Because he's still alive. He didn't die yet. When he comes back, he will die. You understand? When he comes back, he will die. Right? He's not coming back living by the Sharia that he was sent with. No. He's coming back, what? Living by the Sharia, by the legislation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because it is that legislation that every human being, from the jinns and the humans, have to live by and abide by. Period. But yeah, what's the proof? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because somebody might say, well, I need dalil for that. What's the proof? What's the proof? That the Prophet ﷺ, his sharia is for all of mankind, from the human beings and the jinn, and there's no way out of it. That's it. What's the proof for this? It's in Surah Al-A'raf, in its verse 158. Verse 158 from Surah Al-A'raf. Allah Ta'ala, He says, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ إِلَيْكُمْ جَمِيعًا. Allah Ta'ala says what means, and you say to them, O Muhammad, say to them, O Muhammad, O mankind, verily I am Allah's messenger to all of you. I am Allah's messenger to all of you. Every human, every jinn, the Prophet ﷺ is Allah's messenger to them. And this is something that is particular, and now you will see why the qiyas, the analogy that is used between Al-Khidr wa Musa alayhum salatu wassalam is not valid. You understand? Because they say, well, it was okay for Khidr. Naam, it was okay for Khidr alayhi salatu wassalam. It was okay for him. Naam, it was okay for him in the time of Musa to live by a different sharia, to live by the sharia that was revealed to him. Because the strongest opinion amongst the scholars, although you have from the ulama those who say that he was a righteous man, the strongest opinion amongst the scholars is that Al-Khidr, he was a prophet and a messenger. This is the strongest opinion, that he was from the prophets and the messengers. But yet, ala kulli hal, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, أُعْتِيتُ خَمْسًا لَمْ يُعْطَهُنَّ أَحَدٌ قَبْلِي. He said, I have been given 5 things that were not given to anyone before me. I have been given 5 things that were not given to anyone before me. وَمِنْهَا, and from them he mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَكَانَ النَّبِيُّ يُبْعَثُ إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ خَاصَّةً وَبُعِثْتُ إِلَى النَّاسِ جَمِيعًا. He said that verily a prophet from before, he was only sent to his people. He was only sent to his people specifically. Okay? So for the previous prophets, they were sent to who? To their nations only. They were only sent to their nations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He informs us that He raised from every nation messengers. Every nation had his messengers. Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ نَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. And we have sent to every nation a messenger saying and proclaiming, worship Allah alone and stay away from the idols, stay away from the false deities. So Allah Ta'ala informs that every nation had a messenger. Every nation had a messenger, had a prophet. Every nation. Okay? And this is because what? All of the previous prophets and messengers were sent to their people and their people only. Were only sent to their people, no one else. So the question may come, well, what about the other people? How were they to seek guidance? Allah sent them a messenger too. What about the other one? Other nation, how did we see? Allah sent them a messenger too. Every nation had a messenger. Every nation. Every nation had a messenger. And every nation means what? Every nation. You understand? This is why as Muslims, we don't get caught up on what prophet was what color. You understand? Some of these confused ones, and some of the people, like from the nation of Kufr, followers of Farrakhan and them, nations of Kufr is what it is. They're a nation of disbelief. They're not a nation of no Islam. Islam is free from them. They have nothing to do with Islam. Nothing. And it's important the world knows that. Farrakhan and his followers, they have nothing to do with the religion of Islam. Nothing. You understand? But you find some of these foolish individuals, they want to come to you and argue with you about which prophet was black. I mean, which prophet was black? Who cares? It's not important. Is that important? No, it's not important. Why? What's important is, what was the call of the prophet? Being upon what they were upon. Not the how they looked, color of their skin. That don't mean nothing. The message they brought, that's what's important. But these ones, they get so caught up in how he looks, his physical attributes, so on and so forth, and you find that they on another planet with regards to the message. The message of the prophet is here, they on some planet somewhere else. You understand? Because ain't no message of any prophet said that there's a spaceship going to come back, mothership, come back and pick people up. But that's what they say, right? And what's the weight? How much you got to be to get on it? 100 some odd pounds, 150, 60 some odd pounds, right? If you weigh too much, then you can't get on. Can't get on board. You're too big. You understand? Ain't no prophet came and teach nothing, no nonsense like that. You understand? This one skin draft the devil. What does this mean? This is not from Islam. Period. Black man's God, white man is the devil. We seek refuge in Allah from this type of nonsense. No prophet came teaching nothing like this. This is horrible. You understand? So this is why they ain't got nothing to do with Islam. Nothing whatsoever. Islam is free from them. Islam don't call to this nonsense, this foolishness. This is why when people start coming and saying, but this prophet was like this prophet was like that, we say, man, we don't care. Doesn't matter. The believers are brothers. The white ones is brothers to the black ones, is brothers to the red ones, is brothers to the yellow ones, is brothers to the... We all brothers. Whether you got any from this continent or that continent, the far east or the far west, the far north, the far south, anywhere in the middle, it doesn't matter. We're all brothers. All brothers. No matter how you look, no matter the texture of your hair, no matter your eye color, we all brothers. Yes, even a white, blonde hair, blue eye, they Muslim, they are brothers. They are brothers, period. You understand? This is the reality. So anyway, we don't get caught up in the like of these things, because every nation had this prophet. What's important is that we adorn ourselves with those beliefs. That's what's going to make us to be with the prophets in the hereafter, is that we adorn ourselves with their beliefs. And this is what's important. Ala kulli, every prophet was sent to his people only, except for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was sent to who? All of mankind. You understand? Because there's not going to be any prophet after him. No prophet is coming after him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So therefore his message has to be a message that is for what? Universal. It's for all mankind. It's not just for the Arab. Some people think that Islam is just for the Arab. You understand? And you have some kuffar who are like this. They're pro-black kuffar, Afrocentric kuffar, right? And they say, well, Islam is not for me. It's an Arab religion. It's an Arab religion. You understand? This is not correct. It's not correct. Because if that was the case, then how did Suhaim al-Rumi accept Islam? He was from, as his last name indicates, from where? From Rome. From Rome. How people look in Rome? Huh? How they look? They're European, right? How do Europeans look? They what? White, right? Well, yeah. He was from what? The best of mankind. Best of mankind. You understand? Bilal, where was he from? Abyssinia. Where's Abyssinia at? It's Africa, right? Well, yeah. You understand? Islam is for everybody. Islam is for everybody. Right? But anyway, they come and they say the likes of this foolishness. these Afrocentric individuals that no, Islam is only for the Arab. No, it's not for the Arab. It's for everybody. For everybody. Arab, non-Arab, white, black. It's for everyone. Everyone. And then you have other misconceptions. A lot of Caucasian Americans, they believe that Islam is only for Arabs and black people. They say, well, I like Islam, but I can't be a Muslim, right? No, you can be a Muslim. What do you mean? Some of our greatest scholars have been white. You understand? Sheikh al-Albani is the Imam of our time. The Imam of our time. Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said about Sheikh bin Bani, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, I have no doubt that Sheikh al-Bani is the reviver of our time. No doubt. He said, I have no doubt that Sheikh al-Bani was the reviver of our time. And Sheikh bin Baz, his asl was what? He was Arab. Sah? And Sheikh al-Bani, his asl was what? He was Albanian. He was from the non-Arab. He was Ajam. Right? But did that have any bearing on Sheikh bin Baz saying that he had this high status? Did he say, oh, he's not from the Arab, so he can't be the Mujaddid of this era? Did that have any bearing on Sheikh bin Baz? No. Because the ulama not upon that foolishness. You understand? So what he said? He said, I have no doubt that he is the Imam, or he is the Mujaddid of our time. طيب. And Shaykh Ubayd, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, I heard him one time, he said that when you refer to the likes, when you refer to in particular Sheikh Albani or Sheikh bin Baz or Sheikh Uthaymeen, he said when you refer to them, say Imam. Imam al-Albani, or Imam bin Baz, or Imam Uthaymeen. Now, Imam, the leaders of the Muslims. But Imam al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was from where? Albania. He was from Albania. You know where Albania is at? Huh? Where is that? That's Eastern Europe. Right? Eastern Europe. And he was what? Muslim. Not just Muslim, he was from the Imams of the Muslims, from the greatest scholars in our times. So these are things, these are little realities that are good to remind ourselves of and to point out to people to destroy some of their misconceptions. That Islam is for everybody. No matter where a person is from, we can find you examples of Muslims from that area. Islam is for everybody. Everybody. Now, even in the time of the Sahaba, Islam reached all the way over into China. You have Chinese Muslims from way back that time. You understand? This is very important to remember. This is before Islam even reached West Africa. It was in China. That's very important to remember. Islam is for everybody. It's for everybody. Ala kulli. When we look at it and we understand it from this standpoint, we see why what was okay for Khidr is not okay for people right now. Right? Because in the time of Khidr, was it okay for him to live outside of Sharia other than Sharia of Musa? Yes, why? Because every prophet was sent to their people only. And Khidr, alayhi salam, he was not from the people of Musa. You understand? So therefore he was living according to the Sharia that was revealed to his people. So it was okay. But that was something that was abrogated with the sending of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been sent, everyone has to live in according to his sunnah. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he saw him reading some verses from the Torah, he had some pages from the Torah, he was reading through them, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his face changed. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he realized that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his attitude had altered. I don't know any better way to articulate that, Juyaanee, but meaning that his mood, that's better. His mood had changed. His mood changed, right? And he saw that he was angry. So he put him away and he asked, why, and so on and so forth. The Prophet ﷺ, he explained to him, and he said, what means, if Musa was alive right now, he will have no choice except to follow me. That if Musa, alayhi salam, one of the greatest prophets and messengers, if he was alive right now, he will have no choice but to follow me. Meaning what? To be a Muslim under my Sharia. Not a Muslim under his Sharia that he was sent with. No, a Muslim under my Sharia that I have been sent with. Because this is the final legislation. This is the final legislative law. Okay? That makes sense? This is important for us to know and to understand that no one can live outside the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Shaykh, he says, وَرُبَّمَا أَنَّ بَعْضَ الْجُهَّالِ, he said, and perhaps some of the ignorant individuals, يَعْتَقِدُ جَوَازٌ خُرُوجْ عَنْ شَرِيعَةِ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم. They think that it is okay to live outside the Sharia of Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم كما حصل للخضر الخروج عن شريعة موسى عليهم الصلاة والسلام. The Shaykh, he says, وَهَذا يَدُلُّ عَلَى جَهْلِهِ بِعُمُومِ بِعْثِ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, and this shows his ignorance due to the fact that the sending of the Prophet ﷺ was one that was in general. It also shows the individual's ignorance with regards to the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ. وَأَنَّهُ لَا يَخْرُجُ عَنْهَا أَحَدٌ أَبَدًا, and that no one is excused from it. No one can live outside of it. When we look at the likes of this reality now, right? How do we weigh that in comparison to what the followers of Wafdi Muhammad say? When they say that it's okay for an individual to be a Jew or Christian to be raised according to their book, or they'll be any judged according to their book. You understand? And they saying that now. It's okay to be, if a person is a Jew or Christian, they'll be judged according to how well they follow their book. Would that fly? No. No. How would that fly? It would never fly, right? And that shows that they're ignorant with regards to the likes of this. The reality, and this is why we have to encourage people to accept Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, he will say, Aslam Taslam. Accept Islam and you will be safe. You understand? He will say this to the people, accept Islam and you'll be safe. Out of concern, out of love, Juyaanee, for the well-being of the human beings. Accept Islam and you will be safe. You'll be safe from the fire. There's no way to be safe from the fire outside of adorning oneself with Islam. There's no way to be safe from the fire. There's no way. Because any person that is truthful, any person that is truthful in their love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any person that truly loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he has to follow Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He has to follow Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You understand? Because listen, how can a person say, oh, we love Allah, but we don't want to follow His prophets and messengers? What sense does that make? The prophets and the messengers, they were those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent to mankind to show mankind the right way, to show mankind the way that leads to heaven, and to show them the way that leads to the hellfire so they know what not to do. To show them the way that leads to the heaven so they know what to do. This was their duty. To teach mankind that which was good, to warn them from that which was evil. You understand? There's no way to attain and to actualize that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He wants from you except by following the prophets and the messengers. You can't just make it up yourself. It's not just going to come to you. You're not going to have an epiphany and all of a sudden you know what to do. It doesn't happen like that. Because if that was the case, then what? Then the messengers and prophets wouldn't have been sent. There'll be no reason to send them if you can figure it out on your own. If you can make it up yourself. That was not the case. That's not the case. So therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent prophets and He sent messengers to mankind to what? To teach them that which is correct. So any person that truly loves the Creator of the heavens and the earth, he has to, or she has to, adorn themselves with the methodology of the prophets and the messengers. Why? Because these are the individuals whom Allah Ta'ala He loves, and He has sent as prophets and messengers to mankind to show them and to teach them the right way. So if you truly love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have to what? You have to love and follow those whom He sent to you to teach you. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He says, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبُكُمُ اللَّهِ. Allah ta'ala He says, say to them, O Muhammad, say to them, O Muhammad, that if you truly love Allah, then follow me and Allah will love you. That's the test. You truly love Allah, you have to follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because in believing in Muhammad ﷺ and following Muhammad ﷺ, you are affirming your belief to every prophet and messenger that came before him without making any distinction between them. Because that's what the kuffar do. They say we believe in some of the prophets and disbelieve in others of the prophets. The Muslim says no. We believe in every prophet and messenger, from the first of them to the last of them. We believe in everyone. We make no distinction between them. We don't believe in some and not others. No, we believe in all of them. Okay? So by adorning oneself with the Sharia of Muhammad ﷺ, he is thus actualizing his belief in all the prophets and messengers that came before Muhammad ﷺ, including what? Ibrahim or Abraham, ﷺ, including who? Musa or Moses, ﷺ, including who? Nuh or Noah, ﷺ, including who? Isa or Jesus, ﷺ, including who? Yahya or John, ﷺ, all the prophets and the messengers. All of them. We believe in all of them. We love all of them. You understand? How is that actualized? By what? By believing and loving and following who? Muhammad ﷺ. You understand? And this is important that we teach mankind this and we share this with our neighbors, with our co-workers, and those who we know who have not accepted and embraced al-Islam, that we share this and teach them this, because this is the only way they're going to be successful. So the Shaykh, he goes on and he says, وَمَنْ تَبِعَهُ قَبْلَ مَا جَاءَ بِهِ نَجَا. So whoever follows him and he accepts that which he, Muhammad ﷺ, came with, then this one will be successful. This one will be successful. طيب. He says, وَمَنْ ادَّعَ الْخُرُوجَ عَنْ شَرِيعَتِهِ. And whoever believes and who claims that he can live outside of his sharia, he can live outside of his sharia. You find people like that. I agree with Islam, but I'm just, I'm not a Muslim, just spiritual. You find people like this, huh? I believe in Islam, but I'm just, I'm spiritual. I'm a spiritual person. No such thing as that. That's just nonsense, Shaitanic rhetoric. The Shaykh, he says, وَزَعَمَ أَنَّ ذَلِكَ جَائِزٌ. And whoever thinks that is okay, جائز له, it's okay for him, كَبَعْدُ الْغُلَاةُ الْمُتَصَوِّفَةِ, like some of the extreme Sufis. Some of the extreme Sufis believe that, it's okay, you can reach a level where you don't have to abide yourself by the Sharia of Muhammad ﷺ. Understand? And it's important that we beware the likes of this nonsense, man. You understand? And it's not fair for me to tell you that and not be specific. That's not fair. Gotta be specific, right? Gotta be specific. But yeah. The Jama'at Tabligh, the origin is Sufism. That's their origin. Sufism. The Sufi order. That's their origin. Okay? So much so that Shaykh al-Bani, he called them the Sufis of our modern era. Sufi al-Asriya. The modern day Sufis is who? Jama'at al-Tabligh. You understand? And it's important that we understand this reality. Any group that has an ideology that certain individuals can live outside the Sharia, any of these Sufi orders, you understand? We understand the danger with regards to them. So we have to stay away from them. Hamza Yusuf is a Sufi. Zayd Shakir is a Sufi. Nuh Hamim Kalam is a Sufi. So stay away from these individuals and those who are with them. And there are others. These ain't like the only 3 Sufis in the world. There's more. Stay away from them. Don't listen to their lectures. Don't visit their websites. Don't attend their gatherings. And don't support any organization that does. Don't support any masjid that does. Don't. Period. Don't give any money, any support aid to any masjid, Islamic center, or whatever that supports the likes of this. Because how can we be supporting individuals who are from an order who believe that you can live outside the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they believe, for example, that the ibadat, the worship, it is just that which is a training. Tadrib, it's a training. It's a training and a preparation for your soul. And once you have completed your training, then you are no longer in need of your training. You understand? So for them, I guess the ibadat is like what? Boot camp for the army brothers, right? Or the ex-military brothers, right? Boot camp. Once you're done with boot camp, that's it, right? Or do you go back to boot camp? You done. All those drills and exercises that you did in boot camp, you don't do it no more when you finish boot camp. It's it. Huh? It's not boot camp no more. Because you're done with that stage. This is how they look at Sufism. Or this is how the Sufis, look at the ibadah. This is how the Sufis look at ibadah. That is just a training. Once you're done with the training, you don't have to do it anymore. So you will find in their own books, but they write with their own hands, telling upon their own selves, that they will say that this sheikh or this imam or whatever, so and so, he had reached a level where he was no longer seen praying. He no longer fasted in Ramadan. He no longer had to abide by the halal and the haram. So it was okay for him to drink alcohol and to eat pork and so on and so forth, because he had moved beyond that level. He had reached a level of spirituality that he no longer needed the worship. He no longer needed the rules of halal and haram, because that's only for the little people. That's only for the little guys. That's only for those who are not there yet. Ya Salaam, what intellect would think that there's any merit in this? When the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed until the end of his life. The Prophet ﷺ, he prayed to the end of his life. When he was in his sickness, ﷺ, that he passed away from, he came out to the salah while being carried by two of the Sahaba. He came out to the prayer. You understand? He prayed, he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until his life ended. You understand? So this is the case for the Prophet ﷺ. How can there be anyone from his ummah who think that by the time he's 35, 40, 50 something, that's it, he done with ibadah? So you saying that you reach a level that the Prophet ﷺ never reached? That what you trying to say? Ali, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was killed on his way to where? To Fajr. So you saying that you reach a level that Ali, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he never reached? Umar, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was stabbed with praying. So what are you trying to say? That you reach a level that Umar, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he didn't reach? When the Prophet ﷺ, he promised that and gave glad tidings that both of them will be in Jannah. And likewise the rest of the Sahaba, they worshipped Allah to their death. And the ulama, they say that the proofs and evidences point to the fact that all of the Sahaba were guaranteed Jannah. All of them. From those proofs and evidences that point this out is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُحَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبِعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ, to the end of the ayah. That those who believe, or that those who came first and foremost and proceeded from the Muhajirun and the Ansar, and those who followed them in good, then Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. Jannah has been prepared for them, so on and so on, to the end of the ayah. Now, this is a proof and dalil that what? That all of the Sahaba were guaranteed Jannah. Okay, so those who were guaranteed Jannah, that generation guaranteed Jannah, they worship Allah till they died. So what lesser generations are going to come now so much later and can reach that point before? No. The reality of it is that what this concept is erroneous. The premise is false. There is no point to be reached. You worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until you die. Hatta yatiyaka al-yaqeen. Hatta yatiyaka al-yaqeen. Until yaqeen comes to you. They say yaqeen here means certainty. So we worship till we get certainty and that's it. No, yaqeen here means death. It means death. Until death comes to you. That's the yaqeen. That thing that everybody knows is going to happen. Are you going to eat tomorrow or not? You don't know. You understand? Are you going to drive your car again? You don't know. Are you going to go to the beach again? You don't know. All these things are uncertain. Are you going to go to work again? You don't know. Are you going to keep your job? You don't know. It's all uncertain, right? You're going to go bankrupt? You don't know. You're going to get wealthy? You don't know. All these things are uncertain. But what's certain? You're going to die. Does anybody come and say death is mentioned and he like, well, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to experience that. Does anybody think that? Does anybody think that he might live forever? He might be the first one to live forever? Does anybody think this? No, everyone knows, yeah, I'm going to die. Everybody's certain about that. I know I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. Eh? And it's the reality. So this is what is meant by the certainty, because everyone is certain that they're gonna die. And this is the reality. So we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until we win. Until we die. That's it. Until we die. Ala kulli hal, in any event, any caller who's upon the way of the Sufiya, a group who you have from amongst them those who believe that you can reach a point where you no longer have to worship, you can reach a point where it's okay for you to eat pork, you can reach a point where you don't gotta fast anymore, and so on and so forth, you don't gotta pray and all this not, then bila shakka bila rayb, these are evil individuals, you have to stay away from them. So you have to be warned. Be warned. You have to be warned. So don't go around them, don't sit with them, and so on and so forth. Don't expose yourself to their poison, because verily what they are upon is worse than SARS. Right? Someone has SARS, right? You saw what happened to people that when they had it, people was walking masks and all this stuff like this because they didn't want to be anywhere near anybody that had it. But now you know for sure you got a building and it's filled up with people who got that disease. Will you go just sit there and rub elbows with them, talk with them? Would you? Huh? You had people that didn't want to breathe the same air they was breathing. Sahwalillah. Huh? You're going to want to sit there and rub elbows with them and be their friend and eat with them and drink with them and go out with them and be in a car with them and so on and so forth? No. Why? Because you're going to catch what they got. Bid'ah is worse. You hang around with the Muqtadir, you will catch what he got. You will catch it. You understand? And you see people start to get watered down and broken down. They start to make excuses. Nah, he not that bad. Nah, he want the truth. Really? According to who? Yeah, he was with Yasir Qadi and them, but he a good brother. He really, Nah, man. You understand? Or they hit you with, they from the Awam. They just general people. General people that's calling you the bid'ah. General people call. General people invite. You even have for the ulama, they say general people don't argue. Anybody want to sit there and debate with you about you don't got to do this, you don't got to do that, you don't got to call yourself Salafy, and they don't got to be upon the sunnah, it's okay, you can be like this, calm down, it's alright, The ulama, they say general people don't argue. Anybody sitting there trying to argue and trying to convince you otherwise than that which is correct, you don't want to be around that person. It's worse than being around a person that has SARS. It's worse. It's better for you to be around a person that has SARS. It's better for you. And to be on the sunnah. That's better for you. You understand? The Shaykh goes on and he says, فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ, and if a person believes that, meaning that he believes that you can live outside the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, هَذَا يَعُدُّ كُفْرًا وَرِدَّةً عَنْ شَرِيعَتِهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. This would equate and be considered disbelief and apostasy from his Sharia sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. ونكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.